Well, good night. Welcome everyone and anyone. We're coming back to the Mizutsune gear only run, grinding a little bit of Mizutsune for the weapons. Those need to be upgraded. Armor is never gonna be upgraded unless the game forces me to do so. I wanted to bring up a couple things to people's attention because this year has been crazier than the thing that has been happening before. Hearing a lot of noise about aliens. Also, the corrupt establishments getting exposed for a lot of things that they seem to have a weird fixation with kids in a bad way. Latest noise has it that some big hit of BlackRock, if you guys don't know what that is a company that owns stock in almost all the companies. Pretty much they own everything. They have anywhere to 40 to 60% stock on pretty much any company you can think of, and you know that's why certain agendas, certain things are being pushed. Pretty much it began with the whole FDA regulations as well for food that screw everyone because they gave super loaded with carbohydrates instead of protein for the, you know, what they were telling you that was your supposedly meal plan to be healthy, but in fact it just ended up making people obese and morbidly obese, I must say that, and developing diabetes and overall unhealthiness, you know. Same people that are trying to push bugs for everyone. You check out in the UK, some places in Europe, and in the US, you can check some of your regular, you know, almost everything, cereals, cookies, even rice. And they have traces of insect because they added this to added value, you know, to add protein and some other ingredients and minerals, vitamins that are found in insects. I mean, that's okay, but I don't get the point. I think that what they should be addressing instead is like there is a surplus of food that is produced, but you know, no one pays for it, so it goes to waste. And unfortunately, if you try to give it to the homeless, some of them may get sick and they will sue you. But they're really sick already. I mean, I know people eat from the freaking garbage bin, you know, rotting food. If it gets that bad, because depending where you're in the world, being homeless may not be that bad. Especially like in the US and Europe, I know people that are homeless and they have it better than some people that are not homeless and are employed in third world countries. Unfortunately, the way things are organized right now, there's no easy fix for that, right? Because there has to be some remuneration for what you're being done. I mean, if only there was a way, like instead of giving social security, to just get the people, if you have a job, you do everything properly, you get certain monthly allowance for being a good citizen. But then again, that's very close to universal income, which ends up being some kind of social credit score. So there is no easy solution for that. Despite that, the elites, they have underground complexes where they have enough food to feed the whole world for 6 years, and they are prepping for something. You know, they are building bunkers and all of that. Now here's the thing, they are incompetent. You can say that they are like goblins, you know. They are not smart, but they are not stupid, and they are incompetent, and they think they are at top of the world. They think that they are the best of the best, which is not the case, obviously. All they are doing is playing the game in a rigged way because it got rigged. I mean, come to think about this, just in the US, I think that around, even by 1960, maybe 1940, almost everyone, like, I want to say 60-70% of the people were self-employed. Now it's less than 30%. And it depends on what polls you're checking, because some polls have the self-employment as low as, 10%. And they have it, the further you back in time, it reaches up to 80% of the population being self-employed. That means, like, everyone produced something on their own that was useful for the community, so people will engage in commerce with each other, right? So, no, you will produce like clothing, and your neighbor will produce shoes, so he will buy you the outfits and you will buy him the shoes. Someone else will produce vegetables, he will sell them to you, and he will buy from you, dairy products. And all of that is lost. That's what they call the American dream, having your little cabin with your little farm, little cattle, your family. And you will produce almost everything you need, and what you could not produce, there was someone else who was skillful at doing it, and they will do it. But hey, now if the grid goes off, not a lot of people will know how to do that, how to grow crops, how to go hunting, how to go gathering. And if you look at what they are doing, those bunkers, if it was preparing for some kind of natural event, it's pointless. Then again, we're talking about the same people that throw money, insane amount of money at pointless things like wars and, just giveaways that fix none of the issues. So it could be just that they are incompetent and they are not thinking about it, but I don't think so. I don't think so. It feels like it may be like there's something artificial about to happen, or to be implemented at some point. It could also be panic over something natural that could happen, but that would be so fucking stupid. Think about it. Let's go a little bit outside of the globe for a second and say it's the sun. A massive solar explosion, solar flare. The radiation from that will really go very deep under the cortex of the planet, so none of your bunkers are really gonna protect you. And as far as we know, there's really no good technology to shield anyone from direct solar radiation, because it will pretty much shut down the Van Allen belt and our freaking magnetic field of the planet, and it will be just raw radiation from the sun, and not just the normal rates but excessive rates, which by the way we're lucky every single day, because pretty much at all times high every single fucking day, all the time the sun could pretty much shut down everything around the planet and even get the surface a little crispy. So those bunkers, they are not gonna save anyone unless they have some kind of technology that they are not telling us about, but I really don't think so. It's been proven, if you follow the science, actual science, not politicized science, we just don't have any real protection against the sun other than the planet itself, right? The way the magnetic field works is the only thing protecting any living organism from that. Then we go for the other one, asteroids. Here's the catch, it's like, let's say something like similar to the size of the one that nuked the dinos. The heat pretty much vaporized the ocean. The crater is massive, and it pretty much created a whole bunch of underground cavern systems by how powerful it was. So if it lands a direct hit on top of any of those bunkers, I really don't think that's gonna be very helpful. It may save them if they are not in the epicenter of ground zero, of the impact. Earthquakes, like mega earthquakes, let's pretend that's something like, how our current map came to be, because there is debate that it probably happen between weeks, maybe days. Like the highest mountains rising in a matter of days. Your bunker is not gonna survive. It is gonna drop you in the magma, or it's gonna crush you in between the rocks. And what if it gets you underwater? You're gonna run out of oxygen eventually. You're gonna run out of supplies, and I don't see any of them implementing something for a shift of suddenly the continents are now underwater, and what was the bottom of the ocean now it is up high, and it's a mountain range. So these guys I don't see their plans being that good at the long run about what may happen in case of a natural event. But for something artificial, it looks very effective. And then again, if you look it up, these people, they do declare wars and send people to die over nothing. And rather than say over nothing, it's just because obviously, yeah, resources, territory, and workforce, right? So it's a lot in play, but at the same time, it's nothing because they could all play along a better game, and everything will be better for everyone. And the rich will be richer, and the poor will also get wealthy. But they love their little glass ceiling, It's the corruption of European feudalism, the nobility. It was called nobility because they were noble, The glory of the land was the glory of the Lord, but that's not the case anymore. They don't understand that. They just want that gap, unbreachable gap of we have everything that you cannot get. So that's why there's a lot of push. I mean, look at every country. They are making their best to ruin everything. And it's a government. They are also slowly getting more into softcore authoritarian behavior, To protect you, we're gonna take away your rights and things like that. And this also plays a little bit with the whole UFO thing. Because it is not what we are told to believe. I mean, Nuff said, how come the Grace, the typical movie, sci-fi channel, this picturing of an alien, it didn't come from witness reports initially. It actually came from many places. There's arguably, but one of the most similar and pretty much the quintessential is from Aleister Crowley, a Satanist, and he claimed that it was an extra-dimensional entity. Curious how that is also. It's so interesting that it's matching with a lot of ancient beliefs because they believe in different planes of existence. That's pretty much talking about higher and lower dimensions. But phrased a little bit different, but the basic understanding, if you don't reduce it to some cartoon of Sky Daddy on the sky or Thor and Zeus like they show you in the movies, although lately they have been throwing it a little bit more into that outer space, alien life forms kind of, paradigm. It's what they were talking about, things that come from different layers of reality. And they had technology. They talk about them having devices like carriages that fly. So it's technological at the same time. And there is also some aspect where it's very abstract. And if you are to believe a lot of whistleblowers here and there, they talk about that being the case, that the government is not making, shaking hands with little green people from Mars or tiny big-headed great alien. No, they are getting telepathic messages from them, and they have to offer sacrifices in exchange of technology. Blood sacrifices. Speaking of which, there's a lot of new age, like, oh, the aliens are good and they are trying to make us go green and save the planet, and everything is love and consciousness, evolution, and raising your vibrations. That's not. If you look at the bulk of all the alien abductions, encounters, UFOs, it's disturbing. It's way different. There is more reports of radiation burn by exposure to UFOs, be it orbs or the more mechanical looking ones. You also have that the abductees get experimented sexually in sadistic ways, which pretty much all ancient cultures have this idea that these interdimensional creatures will be having very weird sexual interactions with humans. Gotta heal. Another funny part, for instance, if we go by not just like, you know, the big religions, Abrahamic religions, but if you go to any of them, there's also this idea of foul odor being associated to these entities. And that's universal in a lot of cryptids, but also in aliens. That's very interesting that a lot of people don't connect those thoughts because we are in such a secular paradigm, despite the fact that science is getting crazier and weirder. With all these quantum things that are telling you, oh yeah, the universe may be information. Just that the way energy interacts with each other creates matter, and I'm gonna oversimplify it because it's not like that, but there is this thing called the holographic principle. There is pretty much the universe is just raw data in hyperspace. It's like a map, like a flat surface. And then due to the way that data interacts, being pure energy projected upwards, electrons being transferred. Because that's pretty much what reality is. A lot of electrons being transferred, and that somehow created matter as they transfer through matter. That's why, you know, energy and matter cannot be destroyed, just transform. It's just because of the transference of electrons. So maybe the whole thing about the Earth being flat was up to something, you know? Not in that silly way, but it's interesting that it matches this holographic principle theory. And what that tells us is that based on the way these interactions happen, there is a geometry model of how the universe is made. And if you map that, you get higher and lower dimensions. And you could say that time and space become more malleable depending on where you are. So it's not as hard-coded as we have it here. And that's what they're saying. They are saying that most likely the UFOs are not interplanetary or interstellar, but more likely they are some form of interdimensional thing, or transdimensional thing, should we say. And there's another one that people don't talk a lot. It's cattle and human mutilation. Oh, thank you, Ted. And this is very disturbing because it doesn't feel like it's to feed themselves, or that there are reports that pretty much what they do is you find humans and cattle, but also humans, and it's like they took out their organs, their inner organs. For some reason there is no blood. There is very surgical precision cuts in genitals, the eyes, sometimes the whole face. Shout out to the face peelers over there in the Amazonian Riviera. And it's concerning because it doesn't feel like the majority of the reports are about them being good. And the fact that they seemingly can read the people's mind makes feel like there are some people that they read what they want to hear and they somehow mind speak that to them. So you have people that is New Age that believe on all this ascension of humanity and higher levels of consciousness and everything is good. What is interesting is that they base that all off and they bastardize a lot of the ancient myths and the spiritual beliefs of the people. Because aside from Christianity, you know, Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, maybe Zoroastrianism, it's very hard to find gods. And leave aside, they always have some kind of form of demon and some kind of devil, like the ultimate evil. But usually these gods, they are not entirely good. As a matter of fact, they are ambivalent, just like aliens, as they describe it now. They are just not like, you know, scout boys. They're very evil. They get to do very fucked up shit. And that's exactly what the ancients used to say about their gods. You can take almost any god of any pagan religion and they are not always good. Most of the times they are doing terrible, terrible things. Which ironically kinda match up with what they say aliens are doing, you know? Messing around with people, creating hybrids by weird reproduction, and causing natural disasters. With by the way, there is always UFOs whenever you have wars, natural disasters. There's always sightings of those things. It isn't really that all good, but on TV they show you almost always like the good aliens that are coming to bring peace and all of that. And usually when it's like the alien invasion is very silly. It's like it doesn't even make sense the way they portray it, right? Like it's usually very, very shallow and mostly in the horror. I would say Alien and the Predator franchise did a good job at that before it got bastardized again because of corporate greed, right? We need a sequel and we want to do the scary, ugly monsters, so... Those aside that they have a culture, that they are carnivores and that's why they are not good for us. And their actions can be seen as evil because, you know, who wants to be turned into a trophy? Who wants to become cattle? Who wants to become a vessel for their children? And it seems like that is mainly what it's all about. And then if you think about it, there's too much noise, and this has been always the case. It's very peculiar myths, and it's the minority of myths when they contact someone that is not part of the government or the ruling class or some kind of institutionalized religion, getting in touch with the gods or the demons and, you know, getting some deal out of that. And that seems to be happening, right? That's what the noise has, that these entities, whatever they are, they have dealings with the government. Are you really gonna trust that? Are you gonna really say that those are the good guys? And they are shaking hands with the federal government? And who knows whatever else is there, like, you know? Get your tinfoil hat and say it's the deep state. I wouldn't trust that, guys. And then you have that all of this activity is very, very suspicious. It could be like scientists, you know, trying to have a minimal impact on the local life. And if you look at human scientists, they do some fucked up shit to animals. And even that will be a big trouble because, you know, humans are, of course, animals, but pretty advanced. You can say that they are, you know, we have self-awareness and a lot of very complex it is to our consciousness, so it's not the same as, you know, you found a dog or some other creature, and even those, the way life forms are rated based on their intelligence is very sketchy to me. Because if you've been long enough around animals, you will notice that they have, aside from, you know, the typical human proclivity to project themselves into things and make them more anthropomorphic, animals are quite complex, and they have, I hate the term emotional intelligence, but they do have higher levels of emotional intelligence than what is usually taught, and trying to determine their intelligence based on how they resolve problems that are based on human perception, basically, on how humans will solve a problem. You gotta think that to the very core of the biology, they are very different to us. It's not that they, at times it's not like they cannot think out a problem, you know, like having them resolve some basic tall child game or some basic puzzles, labyrinths. They probably just don't need to, and they simply will not engage because they don't need to. That's what they have to, the animals that they manage to get to engage into this. It's always based on the, you know, effort reward system, getting them a treat, getting them something that they will get out of that. But that's always in a very controlled environment, and based on the needs of the animal and how high maintenance there are, sometimes simply that experiment is not possible because the animal will be well fed, so it's gonna be pointless. And that's maybe what's happening with them. They may not even consider us like humans as humans see ourselves. Because then we're just some inferior life form. Yeah, very intelligent. Like how a lot of people look at monkeys, right? And to a certain degree, they are not wrong, right? They are wild. And I think that aliens have suffered the same as the animal kingdom. It's like they get reduced to this kind of Disney movie that everything is so pastel color and there is no ill intent here and there. And even the villains are cartoonish, so they don't really do heinous things, right? If you think about how many people disappear in places that are loaded with UFO activity, it starts to get suspicious because there's a lot of thousands of people that go missing each year everywhere, worldwide, and there's no explanation at all. And those are like maybe in the tens of thousands, if not 100,000s. The thing is, if anything happens, don't get on the spaceship. You just don't know. Even if it's something like looks like Jesus, I'll be suspicious. Will have to prove themselves. Look at it. They have technology that could fix, theoretically could fix the main issues, right? That is the quote-unquote energy crisis, which is a little bit artificial, a little bit real. Because, you know, government intervention of any kind just makes everything worse. And they lie about silly things. Why wouldn't they lie about something like that? Especially when there is so much profit being made. They say there is a shortage. No, there is actually a surplus of everything. It's just that it's not the way our current model of civilization is designed. Is not possible to effectively distribute that everywhere. And we don't want to be going into communism because sadly, there's the things that I don't like about that. It is naive, it seems, because it can appreciate the idea that is the existing systems and the structures, the way societies and civilizations are structured that are the issue. And that's not it, it's human corruption. It's like, We all have institutions that we don't like, be it religion, government, monetary systems, ideologies of any kind, and on any group, in any human group, especially if there is some form of institutionalized power and authority, you will find corrupt humans placing themselves there purposely so they can be evil and facilitate their fucking crimes and sins. So you gotta look at, okay, is the issue the ideology, or is the issue the institution, or is just that we're all so naive and so goody boys that we are allowing the evil bastards to get away with it. And we play so much by the rules that we just let them get away with it. That's what it feels like to me. And it's very hard to tell because even good people can go into authoritarian routes very easily to try and resolve the issue when it gets too bad. As a matter of fact, it seems like the pattern of humanity is you have very free societies and systems until, you know, corruption gets to a tipping point and everything gets so bad. And more often than not, authoritarian regimes to fix or patch up the issue for a while. Main examples will be empires and, you know, the autocracies of kingdoms, you know, monarchies and all of that. You look at it, they did improve a lot of the issues there were, but eventually they ended up repeating those same issues. And once again, it's all about human corruption. My issue with some ideologies out there is like communism, it calls immediately out for a violent revolution. And here's the catch. Violence is not evil, but it's only when it's necessary and more often than not a last resort. The real debate is where do you draw the line on when is that, okay, we have no other choices. But if you go right off the bat for that without acknowledging this is human corruption, based on the fact that you're advocating for violence right off the bat and you say that what you're advocating violence against is the source of it and not the human corruption within whatever that may be, that source of the problem, that perceived or factual source of the problem, then you're most likely lying and you're probably evil and you just want to get into power. Because unfortunately every revolution in human history, I feel it's being somewhat a failure. Because it creates immediately a vacuum, a power vacuum that is filled by either the powerhouses that were instigating that revolution or whatever other powerhouse that may emerge or maybe just lurking in the shadows. Now here's the catch. No matter how good is the era we're living on, no matter how free the place we're living on gets, no matter how good it is, authoritarian terror is always lurking around the corner, just waiting. And that's everywhere. Everywhere and anywhere. And what we need actually is an authoritarian regime upon the state. Because it's very effective on keeping control and preventing things that you don't want. That's the magic of an authoritarian regime. The issue is that it's imposed upon the free people, and that's not how it should be. It should be imposed upon the government, upon the state. We should have a universal income, but for the state, and let it be the minimum wage. Well, that's what they persist is enough for anyone to live. Let them prove it. And then what? All we do is have them monitored 24/7, just like the way they monitor people whenever they find an excuse, right? And start tracking transactions, tracking whatever you're talking on your private spaces, in social media, right? Which just became Big Brother, and it's always watching. We need that on every single government. And I'm not calling from a one-world government because that would be a freaking nightmare. No, the free people of the world should just impose a form of governance that is authoritarian in nature on the state itself. That's the only way I can see that we make it out of this. Because we're lucky. You want to believe in whatever god you worship, or even just in luck in general. Like I was saying at the beginning, the sun could be, at this very moment, there is a big chance that the sun may throw us back to the Stone Age, kill a lot of people, or ruin the environment entirely. And what's preventing them from happening? Nothing. Nothing other than a very simple thing called luck. Some people may call it divine providence or whatever. Get over here! Oh, come on, stop bullying that freaking parasol and get over here. There you go. Oh, Mizu, you're a prick at times. Let me go grab those drops. I'm not really pulling this parasol. Oh, you actually killed the ants. Okay, it's carbon. But going back to it, we'll need to have their bank's accounts and unfortunately those of their relatives available to the public and under constant monitoring. How else are you gonna confirm they are not getting money they shouldn't? Well, make sure they don't get a chance at it. It's like, I think that schools, you know, use like cops. Teachers should be wearing body cams on all the time. Parents should be available to daily look at them. Because you cannot trust people, unfortunately. And not in the sense of never trust anyone, but it's better for... Unfortunately, the world is falling. We live in an evil world. And you have to have faith in humanity. As hard as that's get at time, it's hard to have faith in humanity at times, especially when you know what is happening. Like, I don't know why they haven't been like, you know, something like the Canadian truck convoy or the BLM riots over Jeffrey Epstein. How come you can't condemn someone for trafficking infants, minors, and not go and persecute the clients? I mean, factually, if there were not people seeking for that kind of service, for that kind of sickening, repulsive activity, the people that do this, they will simply have to move into another criminal activity or some legit business model, because they will have no one to sell that to. And it's necessary, and I really hope that eventually whoever was guilty of being a client of Epstein gets thrown in there. And like I was saying, a big hit from BlackRock, it seems like her email is linked to a CP website where the rules was, and it's called Rapey, that is you. That was the name because it was taken down. They fortunately got the founder of the website and a lot of people, and that scumbag died in jail. I really hope the person, you know, the inmates were really gentle with him. Wink, wink. But it's necessary that everyone that was involved there gets there, and pretty much the rule for that website was you need to share your own CP if you want to receive CP and exchange and even meetups and facilitating the production of CP. It seems like no one cares. It seems like people are just going for the political bullshit that the fucking elites, they own all the news outlets, they are owned by the same fucking companies. And they are trying to divide us with bullshit that when you look at it, it really isn't even there. And obviously it's all based off stereotypes that are very real, but it's always a minority that is never gonna go away. And something that they are not telling you is that it's false hatred, because I'm gonna throw you a little bit of science there. You can only hate if you love, because the literal neural process, the literal neural circuit on every single human and living thing that may experience something similar to love and affection, the only way you get hate is through the neural circuits of love. The only difference is that when it reaches the frontal lobe, it changes slightly and becomes quote-unquote hate. I don't think that the people that are hateful out there actually love the people they are bashing. I feel it's just frustration. Frustration, and who knows what happened in their life. Sometimes it's just the way they were raised. Sometimes it's a bad experience. And sometimes it's just utilizing the negative aspects of whatever demographic, because you're always gonna find a piece of shit on any freaking box that you may wanna place humans into. And they take that, and that's what they abuse and use to justify their false hatred. It's all fake. Because I see no love there. But I do see love in a lot of people, you know? There's even people that will say some outrageous things, and maybe they don't like genuinely dislike certain demographics, but they will still help them and love them, even if they don't like them. You know, it's like what they say, right? Love the sinner, not the sin. You can place that in secular wars too. You can love a criminal while you condemn their crimes. Why? Because it's a fucking life form. That's a fucking tragedy, you know? It's like there's people out there ruining lives, taking lives. And the tragedy is multi-layered because their own life is being wasted and twisted into something it should not be. And even at that, there is a very deep existential issue. It's like, is malice ingrained into biological life, into the intelligences of biological life forms? Because everything humans do wrong, you will find it in the animal kingdom. It's everywhere. Even plants can be parasitic. Some of them are. It's like, you know, in the Everglades, if I remember correctly, it's in the Everglades, there's the largest fungus ever that has been there for millions of years, perhaps billions, but most likely millions. It's been there since the dinosaurs were still around, and it's a parasite. And it's alive and it communicates as if it is a single organism, so that thing knows when something is walking around. And pretty much it's a parasite that is killing the massive trees that had also been there since eons. Are we gonna assume that it's an evil entity? Who knows? We live in a world of balance. Everyone has to take matter and energy from something else. Even the plants are taking it from the soil and the sun, and it's not, if you think about it, they are not doing it gently. They are pretty much piercing through the ground as they grow from little seeds. They set their roots and they start sucking the life out of soil. Of course, that is if you want to look at it. You can also look at it as being the miracle of a freaking dead space rock producing life in different forms, and these life forms thriving. And somehow almost all forms of life have a way to appreciate giving and receiving affection, so it's all very grayscale, it's not black and white. And that's why if you claim to love life, it's a tough claim. It's something I don't think a lot of us can say, yeah, I do love all life forms, because say you love a child abuser? But if you want to really hate them, you gotta love them first. And it's tragic that they become that way. That they... And even if you were to think about something like, oh, well, some people have no choice because everything in their life was like that. It's complex, but at the end of the day, there is a point when no matter the factors, you gotta make a choice. And the way it works is that it's always based on vulnerability. Whenever there is the opportunities because someone or something else is vulnerable, that's why slavery happened and still happens. It's not because of any other elements. Of course, there are elements that emerge or get facilitated, enabled by that vulnerability, but at its core is simply because there is a vulnerability and someone takes the decision of, okay, I'm gonna go and take advantage of that vulnerability. So even if your life was hell, if everything was wrong, society is unfair with you and you're mentally ill, even with all the factors, you can make a choice. And that's one of the reasons that people don't understand why Christianity of all things was so successful. People don't know that first churches, the first Bible is from Ethiopia. So you gotta deal with the fact that it spread first in Africa, the Middle East, Asia, and then eventually reached Europe through the Roman Empire. And why was that? Because at its core, the message of, which by the way, for those who don't know it, this is not theology, it's historicity. There was indeed a guy called translated Jesus, who was actually killed over false accusations of being a revolutionary against the Roman Empire. What happened? The way this man behaved himself while he was being murdered, he was forgiving everyone for what they were doing to him. And he showed that he loved them, and that's why he was forgiving them. And that enabled a lot of people to understand, and as well as when you look at the stories about, like the example of the adulterous woman, go forth and sin no more. It's this idea that everyone out there that is, just for research purposes, try to look at it from historical / psychology side of it. You can go read Carl Jung's book Eon. Humanity has always been trying to get this. They wanted someone to be the manifestation, the living embodiment of forgiveness and redemption. And sadly, that's, even if it was just a myth, the tale itself talks about that. What is forgiveness and redemption? Forgiveness is, they did you dirty, they ruined your life. That shit's gonna eat you from within. I know it too well, and I know that there is people out there like me that they know it too well. Resentment, it really can fuel you, the anger, the hate, the drive for vengeance, but it destroys you too. And the victim being letting go of that is very harsh, but it's liberating. I'm not gonna claim I'm capable of that, but I know people and I have seen people and I know of people that know people and I know of people that have done it, and it's liberating and it's a miracle to say the least. And on the other hand, we all done dirty. We all done dirty shit. We all done something wrong, no matter how minimal or how absurd and heinous it can be, how sickening it may be. And if you look, there is even the most twisted criminal minds, they have reached a point where they have to justify themselves, and they build a whole worldview to justify what they have done and pretend that it's not wrong. Even by going to the whole morality is subjective. It is. But the issue with objective morality is that it comes from a single fact. There are things that you shouldn't do because they destroy everyone, even yourself. Even if you think, no, because I am getting that benefit out of it, I am getting my fix, I am on top of the monkey. It's destroying you because you could have been, and you know it, you can have been a beautiful fucking human. Sometimes when you're the one getting hurt, just to survive you gotta become something similar or worse. That's how vicious cycles of any form of abuse in humanity has been perpetrated. I mean, go figure out why the main traders, slavers, and slave traders of any race in this planet were always of the same race. How about that? Whites were enslaving whites in more numbers, and same it was for blacks were enslaved. It was the same everywhere. The first point of slavery was always their peers. That's how sick it is. That's how sick it gets, the corruption of humanity. And that's the tragedy, because with a simple choice, everything will have been diffused and everyone will have been a better human. And what's redemption? I hate it, because it's so fucking amazing. It can make someone change. People, no matter how fucked up they are, they can change if they make the choice. And you always gotta analyze, because no matter what are the factors, no matter everything else, everyone has a share of the blame. I'm not trying to place the blame on the individual that is going through something or making the quote unquote wrong choices. But there is always blame at you. There's always blame at me. I am the one that took that choice at the end of the day. I could have walked away. Hell, I could have killed myself. But then again, it's easier to just go ahead and kill someone else, isn't it? That's how it will go. I could have just dropped anything and leave, but instead I became part of the corrupt establishment. I could have stayed in the freaking McDonald's working, but instead of that I became a corrupt politician. It's those little choices that everyone makes that either ruin everything or make it better. And what is worse is that, you know, the evil people of the world, those fucking scumbags, they have everything. They have all the power, they have all the influence, they have all the funds, wealth, everything you can think of. They have it all. And they have not one, because the majority of people out there, they are flawed. Who the fuck is perfect? No one is. But they all try to do the right thing. And everyone is trying their best. Some are more flawed than the others, and what I say to humans is the opposite I say to weed. Because with weed I will say there is no bad weed, there is just better. this case, I say there is no better humans. There is just worse because I think everyone is better and could be better. And that's basically what Carl Jung said. That the tale and the actual historical event of that crucifixion was that. Something that humanity wanted, and that's why all the slaves, all the countries that were conquered by Rome were the first ones to take and embrace Christianity before Rome say, hey, we gotta take over Christianity because people want it. It's too popular, so it's better if we get control of it first. And guess what? That's what's happening with every single movement, no matter what political compass they want to place it into. Pay attention. It's happening now. It's happened all the time. Everything good that humans try to do, the corrupt establishment will take it. And what is what we can do? All we can do is play better games. And maybe stop playing their games for once. Of course, that's very complicated. That's very complicated and it's not gonna happen easily. But if we start playing better games with each other, little by little, we may get to the point that we're gonna be able to not play their games anymore. Support your local businesses. Hell, try to put your own, I don't know, grocery stores. Try to produce something. What is the basic necessities your community needs? Try to be the one that supplies that, and of course you're gonna be remunerated. Don't give it for free. And if you have the capacity to do it, right? If you have the agency to do it, giving them all that for free, hell yeah! Sharing is caring. But it will be best if you teach them how to do it too. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll be free. Entirely free. Because here's one little secret. Despite the fact that all these parasites have everything, and they have placed themselves into power, the only reason that they can play their games and be there is because we are funding them. That's food for thought, because right now it seems like they're trying to do something nasty to consolidate more power. We have the whole UFO debacle. Some unspecified country in an unspecified location has created a variant of an unspecified virus by mutating them and experimenting in rats with human DNA, and now it has 100% mortality rate. Ain't that amazing that it's just on time when the WEF is talking about getting prepared for disease X and the new pandemic? Also, the WHO is calling for an international accord to be prepared for disease X, hypothetical pandemic. Well, I still remember that they were saying, despite this, they were saying, you know, when that, who knows what is the name, virus began, that they were saying, oh, pandemic is an obsolete term because modern science will not allow that to happen. And it happened. And they lied about everything and people died. They're gonna lie again and a lot of people are gonna die. What I'm gonna say is stay frosty because things are getting weird. And I really hope that if there is any entities out there, be it from another planet, maybe this planet, can you imagine some lizard that has been alive, lizard species that have been alive for what? Let's say 50,000 years more than humans. What kind of technology are they gonna have if they are scientifically driven like humans? Well, it will be amazing tech, wouldn't it? If they are interdimensional, that's way more weird, because where is the common ground? If they are biological, we could still find a common ground. But if they are not even biological, there's no way they're gonna understand our reality. And we don't know what their needs are. and they will not understand ours. Or if they do understand ours, they are not helping us. Like I say, if we believe what the technology behind UFOs is, just with one spaceship they could resolve a whole country out of issues. Energy for everyone with just one spaceship. And they haven't done that. Why the secrecy, huh? I mean, you have nothing to hide, you got nothing to fear, huh? Is that what I say? And I really hope two things. That everyone that has been involved with destroying the lives of children pay. And not just the slap in the wrist that the corrupt injustice system gives them. I mean, you get more for just carrying a little pot than messing up with a kid forever. It takes away your social life, it takes away everything. Do you guys know how fucking hard it is to build relationships? To trust another human? To fall in love? To have physical contact? It's great that a lot of people manage to get through that, but trust me, the majority just cannot go through it. Because your mind gets twisted in ways that simply shouldn't be. And God only knows what kind of nightmares are there. Here's the catch. Power doesn't corrupt, power enables. What do you think happens when one of these broken kids get into some power, circumstantial? What do you think is gonna happen when one of them gets real power? Give a broken kid all the nukes in the world and see how it goes for everyone. Or you could go in a spaceship, latch yourself to an asteroid and try to push it towards here. And that's something that cannot stand. There has to be some punishment that is greater than just that slap in the wrist. That hotel-like prison. The inmates do a great job. They actually do the job the justice system should be doing. That's how sick the world is. My suggestion, for those who know, lifetime sentence, don't give it thousands of years. That's silly. I know that's done to bypass the corrupt establishment because they will parole. Oh, such a good guy, he's getting reform. Let's reduce the sentence. Guess what? Our sentence is until we fucking die or pull the plug. Even if you gain some fortitude and you go through life, get better, get a family, you know, find a significant other and all of that, all the good things that every human should have, like a warm bed, 3 meals a day. It isn't going away. It's always deep there and it's painful. Well, these guys just go back and just live their lives like normal. And here's the catch. Unless they are unlucky, more often than not, it's not just one victim. Usually it's at least 2 of them. So what I say is simple, life sentence, without parole, without any kind of stupid ass reductions or considerations, and it's not gonna be imprisonment. The press monkey experiment. The press monkey experiment for those PDF files. Ain't that sounding amazing? And if you know what I'm talking about, it's fucking evil. Prettiest Monkey experiment is fucking evil, but I think that's what they deserve. Crucifixion will be a good one. For those who don't know, that was the zenith of human torture. Thousands of years of human technology poured and intelligence poured into. How can we kill you while you suffer the most? And that's what it was. That's why the tale of the crucifixion is so powerful. Especially because it actually happened. It's kind of funny that people want to make it a myth because that makes it more powerful. What you should do is, even if you don't believe in all the theological crap, understand that it happened. Someone who did not commit anything wrong against their peers, nor against the government, got killed in the most gruesome manner, and according to witnesses who decided to make a religion out of the guy, he loved them and forgave them. The guys that fucking lied. Don't kill him. And if you don't get how powerful that is, I guess there is no hope for you, my brother or sister. Because trust me, that happens all the time. We just don't hear about it. Because our little stories that are not as gruesome and as public. But there's a lot of people like that. They forgive the most horrible and repulsive acts. And I myself cannot be like that, but so I'm an hypocrite for trying to tell you guys, be better. And even if you forgive the bastards, that doesn't mean that they have to be scot-free. Yeah, they can get the chance to change. They have to pay. There's no freedom from consequences. And I just hope that these extraterrestrials are not in cahoots with the same people that are hiding everything. And going back to the Blackrock mess, it's interesting that my mind is a little bit off now, but I think that this individual, one of their parents or parents-in-law is is actually a director for JP Morgan Chase. Now, why that's interesting? Well, you have someone in BlackRock apparently trading CP online and producing it, and one of their close relatives is a big head in Morgan Chase. And what is with Morgan Chase? Despite the fact that everyone knew that Jeffrey Epstein was up to no good, that he was already a convicted offender, they kept making business with the guy. There were something that I don't know if you guys know is there's something that they call suspicious transaction report. And it's pretty much any financial activity on a bank that doesn't make any fucking sense because it's an absurd amount of money and it has no valid justification and no patterns to it. Like, you know, you're receiving your monthly paycheck. It's just a wire transfer from someone else that is Bill Clinton, Bill Gates. Insert whatever start like Michael Jackson here. The bank generates a report and that has to be sent to the authorities so they can look onto it. JP Morgan Chase was not doing that with Jeffrey Epstein. And it's interesting that it seems like, and this is allegations, the evidence is not all there, but like some people say in Spanish, piensa mal y estarás correcto. What does that mean? You think wrong about them, you're most likely right. Basically, it just goes full circle. And that goes to what Omniman said. Power does not corrupt, it enables. And unfortunately, a lot of people, there's something that is not just in Christianity, it's in every single spiritual belief and religion out there. Ouch. Is the idea, it would be like karma in the Hindu tradition, and being born in sin in Christianity. What does that mean? You see, a lot of people dismiss a lot of things like, oh, those are just Bronze Age myths, those are just Middle Ages beliefs. People are not stupid, people have never been stupid. As a matter of fact, if you follow the science, the human brain hasn't changed a lot in about 15 to 20,000 years. What does that mean? All we have is more quote-unquote education and better science. But no one in the past was any bit less intelligent than you. So a lot of these things talk about real shit, but just in a legitimate framework. They had no other way to place it into words. What it means is some simple fact about humans. We are all capable of evil. The only difference is that you make a choice when the opportunity is in front of you. Okay, you wanna do this, it's real bad, it's gonna mess someone up, it's gonna fuck you up too, but you can get away with it. And if you're not aware that you have that capability of being evil, it's gonna be harder for you to stop, because you are not thinking yourself capable, and you have no mental mechanisms to stop yourself in case that happens. And I think that's what happens to a lot of these people. But unfortunately, there seems to be some generational corruption factor to it. And that's universal. We see that with monarchies and the elites in Middle-aged Europe, you know, the oligarchies. We see that with politicians, we see that with celebrities, we see that everywhere. The very funny part is that, and it's funny how all of them are in agreement about Satan. They just love that Luciferian satanic symbol. I wonder why that is. It's because it's the idea of evil, and evil is real, so stay frosty, guys. Stay frosty, because we're all gonna lose if we don't stand up. We don't play a better game in real life. We all can, bro. We all can. We can stand together. Even if people say outrageous shit that make you pissed to your core, just find, even if it sounds like an excuse, find what is good in them. And be your best, because that's how you change people. The only way to change people is by being the best you can, and they will see that, and they will change their opinion about you. And it will change their worldview. Why is that? Because good love is universal to humans. Everyone is capable of love. It's just that we decide to kill it, bury it, or cut it off. And when you kill it, it's harmful. When you cut it off, it simply starts to come up. You shut it off, and that's it. But you still experience it. You're just denying yourself the chance to experience it. When you kill it, it's killing a part of yourself. You're silencing. You're refusing to engage with it. And when you bury it, you're simply pretending that it's not happening. And that's not just with love, it's with everything. And what happens? That is if like you were to dig a hole and start pounding and storing and, you know, just hiding powder there, gunpowder. Eventually, it's gonna go kaboom. And that's what happens exactly. I have seen it firsthand. And when it explodes, it's bad. Because it's too late. And you will have a real regret about it being too late. All we need is to play better games. And if not engage on those games the corrupt establishment is pushing and forcing us to play. Try not to engage, try to engage as little as possible. It's the only way we're gonna get to win. And if we don't win, we all lose. And if this keeps going on, if you see where it's going, they're trying to make it acceptable to do what they do hidden, public. And if that time comes, trust me, someone is gonna come and it's gonna make it right and not in the right way. And this is a spoiler about what I think is gonna happen because I feel it, I see it myself. When everything is so wrong, when the number of victims exceed those of the ones that are lucky to get a happy life, what's the only solution? I can tell you what is the solution. How do you reduce the number of victims to 0? If there is no one around, there are no more crimes, no more tragedies. At a great cost, the greatest cost ever, because everything will be lost, there will be no more love. None of the fucking good things in life, there will be gone. But they are being gone anyways. We're getting less and less of that every single fucking day. Well, it's a shame, but if everything is gone, there is no more pain. There will be no more suffering. And that's the only anti-salvation that I can think of. And it's not the right thing, but I feel it's gonna happen eventually because that's where it seems to be heading. But we can't stop it. You know? We're on the brink of this every single day. On every single age it's been like that. You can say that it's not that it's been better. It's just that it always could have been worse. And that's why it's better. When it's not worse. And it's looking a lot like it's getting to that worse. And as insignificant as someone like myself or whoever may be there, because you gotta be self-aware. Do you have billions of dollars? Are you the president of the United States? Do you have the little red button of the minor deterrence, which is the nuclear weapons? No. But you have your family, your friends. You can make their life better. And yours too. You know what is the biggest slap in the face to these fucking pieces of shit? Live a good life and be happy. Fucking do it. Even if at the end of the day you're gonna cry like a little bitch like I am maybe right now, you can do it. You can reach a state close to happiness, which is just having joy every single day, a little joy. Because happiness is just joy in a dynamic state that is not a stagnant, constant joy. That's happiness. Find what makes you happy and fucking do it, and be the consequences. Oh, lovely. He gave me a lot of claws. I actually need those. Thank you, Mizu. And And that's how you're gonna give them a middle finger and a bitch slap with an inverse bitch slap at the same time to the corrupt establishment. Be happy, make your life better and those around you better. And even if you can, be good with every single fucking living organism you can. Doesn't matter if it's an animal, doesn't matter if it's another human. Because that's how you bitch slap the corrupt establishment in the face. Now, I'm just gonna upgrade the bow. I'm gonna tell you guys, never give up. Because when you give up is when you give them a victory. And we cannot let them win. And don't confuse the enemy. The enemy has no skin color, no ideology, no religion, no political compass, no social position. The enemy is anyone who sees the vulnerability of others and exploits it to his own benefit, regardless of ruining another life or taking it. That's the enemy. And what do? Don't engage with them. Defund them. Isolate them. Just like they do to us broken kids. The whole system turns their back on you. Oh, you're mentally ill because they abuse you? Stop being mental, take the pills. That joke was good. It's like, the best part of having a mental illness is that everyone wants you to act as if you don't. Sadly, it's the way it is. And no matter how hard it is, even if you end up being a loser like myself, a lone loser like myself here, as long as you don't engage in their game and you try to be the best you can be, even if you don't get a happy ending, even if at the end, you know, the pain makes you go away and pull the plug, as long as you never gave up, they didn't win. And you never let that bullshit win. So, stay strong, my G's. Remember, Tamamisu rocks and wishes you all the best, just like me. Have a good night, and I'll see you later.